You are listening to the Light FM's Girl Talk podcast, brought to you by the Stoner Group, UBS Financial. Hello there, my name is Carol.
This is Alicia. Hey, I'm Trisha.
What lie is holding you back? That is the question I got kind of tagged with this week. You ever been in a conversation with somebody and they kind of call you on something like right in the middle? And, well, here, let me just give you the situation. So I was talking with a friend of mine, and she complimented me. And I immediately deflected the comment because y'all know I use humor a lot. Yeah. When I don't want to talk about something, I go for funny because I can. And so I did that. And she just stopped and looked at me and she goes, "Why do you have such a hard time taking a compliment?"
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I deflected again. I was like,
Yeah.
like,
Pay attention.
"Have you seen me juggle?" And she did it again. She was like, "No, I'm serious. Why do you have such a hard time with that?" And you ever felt caught, like when somebody calls you on something like that, your insides kind of go, "Ah!"
Yeah.
You know, I didn't say anything. And I was like, "I don't know." And she goes, "I want you to think about that."
Wow. Ooh, wow.
I know.
Follow up.
What's that?
That's a harder follow up.
It's very hard.
I know that is.
Yeah.
Now you got to think about it. And now
Yeah.
you got to figure out what. Okay, so I started thinking about it, and it got me on this whole trail of things that hold us back. Like the lies that we believe that really we wouldn't say them out loud on a daily basis, but there's something that usually someone has said to us that has caused us to believe a lie about ourselves. And so I got to thinking about this, and I'm just going to be flat out honest on this podcast. Is that okay? I mean, I know y'all are used to me being honest, but this is like next level.
Okay,
and
ready.
I even lost sleep over this last night because I was like, "Oh, we're going to do a podcast tomorrow, and I don't really want to share this, but God is very bossy." So I drilled it down, and it got back, and I'm not going to cry, just so y'all know.
Okay.
It got back all the way back to when I became a single parent, and I went to tell somebody who I think a lot of, and is very special to me, and they said this phrase, and I drilled all of this back to this phrase. They said, "Did he leave you because of your weight?"
Oh.
Now, I'll say this. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were just kind of in shock because of what they were finding out, and there were so many emotions and da-da-da-da. But I started at that point building my identity on the fact that I was a single parent because I was not attractive in some way, or that I was overweight.
Wow.
And I have never been able to get past that, and I'm not going to cry. I said I was not going to cry, so I'm not going to cry. But really, it's more about what lie is holding you back. Because if you would have asked me that question, and even if you would have said that phrase, I was like, "No, that didn't really bother me that much." But when I kind of deflected on the compliment thing with my friend, and she was like, "I really want to know why you have such a hard time with that, because I've complimented you on other things before too, and you always do this." And I just thought, how would my life look different if I could let go of that and get past it?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that on a daily basis, we are held back by all kinds of things. And I've built a whole identity around that very thing right now. I will go as far as to say that people have said, "Oh, would you ever date?" Or, "I have this brother-in-law who's single." I guess your brother-in-law wouldn't be single because he'd be married to your sister. But I have this relative who's single, and I'd like to introduce you. And I'm like, I just don't think I'm ready for a relationship. And all these different things. And I think it goes back to that. I have a problem because of that situation, and because that was such a formative time for me, so early on as being a new single person, and having that attached to that situation. Does that make sense? I feel like this is all about me, and I'm not trying to make it be that.
But so it seems like someone said a complete lie and something so out there that could not even be true. But because you were in such a vulnerable place, you internalized it. That is that true? Wondering, oh, okay, someone said that to me, so it must probably be possibly true.
Right.
When, now that you're away from that, you can look in the reality of the situation and say, there's no way that's true.
Right. I should be able to.
Right, but that's where I'm trying to struggling with the words.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to do that because that's what makes sense. But because it's been so long that you've believed that,
That's 10
how
years,
do you get
y'all.
past that?
Well,
10
you said
years.
Wow.
internalizing. That is the key, because think about, something that deflects something. So you throw something on, it doesn't stick. But let's say you throw something on something and it sticks and it becomes part of that thing that you threw it on. That's internalizing. So it becomes part of you, not just something you can let go, but it has become part of you. And then like a scab, things grow around it and start to make it even more kind of in there. And that is such a lie. You've got to get it out of there, because when it becomes part of you, it affects everything you think. It affects your choices that you make, and it affects the things you do. So it becomes very, very damaging.
Yeah.
So you have to confront it.
And like even right now, even talking to y'all about it, I'm still tender. Like I could sob right now if I
Well,
if I
there are
wanted to.
hurts that happen in our lives. I think that no matter, even if you feel healed, I think emotionally they can still drain you years and years and years later. People that have had rough childhoods or different things that have happened, abusive relationships, even if they are past it and mentally kind of healed from it, I think it will always forever be painful.
Yes. So what do we do about it? What do we do about that kind of a
That's
lie?
why I came to y'all, because y'all are smarter than me.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Alicia is.
You're much smarter than me. And I have really. Here's the thing: living is hard work.
Yeah.
And anytime you've been through any kind of hurtful experience, you have to do some hard work to try to get at the root of it. And I think that God is beginning to show me that I've got some work still to do, but I don't really know what to do.
Well, that's the thing. Carol, for example, you help people all the time. You're able to encourage people and inspire people and talk to other people about their worth, about how wonderful they are. But you maybe, because I do this, you struggle maybe to say that kind of thing to yourself.
Sure.
It's like, what are we telling ourselves?
Or to
Because we're with
believe us.
ourselves all the time.
When we say what a wonderful person you are, and that is a total lie.
You deflect that, but you internalize
a total
other
lie.
people.
Yeah.
That happened 10 years ago is absolutely no way possible true.
Yeah.
So you have to now believe those around you that love you, that say these compliments. You have to learn to accept the compliment.
Right.
And I think as women, it is hard to, even a simple compliment like, "Oh, I love your top, Trisha." Like a lot of women, like if I hear something like that, I'm like, "Oh, I got it for $5.99 at Target."
I got it on
give
sale.
some,
Heidi
like,
gave me this, by the way.
I can't say like, "Oh, I spent a lot of money on this,"
Right.
or I have to give some reason why that's potentially not 100% true. Like
Right.
you need to know the truth about my wardrobe choices.
Right.
And where you got them.
But I think women have a tendency to not be able to take compliments very easily.
And why
I don't know.
What is that?
Well, that is all true. And I think part of it is because we're constantly telling ourselves something else.
Yes.
What are we telling ourselves? What are we constantly feeding to ourselves?
Well, and are we not listening to what God is saying about us?
And what God says about us.
Drop the mic, Alicia. You just had it right
that's
there.
it.
And here, how do we give God's words the same weight that we give other people's? Because I'll tell y'all the truth, I have the hardest time, even though we just got to pre-screen a movie a couple of days ago, and it's excellent. I would say go see it. It's going to be in theaters later this summer. And one of the heart of the movie is identity, and it's this teen girl trying to figure out who she is. And I was just so like because all this is going on at the same time,
Everyone's
And I was like,
crying.
how come, I can't believe what's in black and white in the Bible, because I think it's for everybody else, but not for me. What is there in me that believes that that's true for everybody else, but I'm the one exception? Because I think we do that.
And
We do that 100%.
I
True.
love in that movie, and I don't think this is a spoiler, about the part about Ephesians.
Yeah.
Go through the first part of Ephesians and write down every encouraging word, every word that is about you. And I did that the other night. I went back and I did that, and I highlighted the word. What a great little study there, exercise.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is a great, and even though you've probably read it before, or maybe you've never read it, that is something you should do. Go through chapters 1 and 2 of Ephesians, and every word that God says you are, write it on a piece of paper or highlight it, and remember it and learn it that is true about you.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I like to highlight things and go back, not just in the Bible, but other places of words of encouragement that I find, so that when I am feeling down or I am feeling like there is something going on, I can look back and find something encouraging to reflect on.
Yeah.
And I think also, because I did the same thing. I didn't write it down, but I looked at Ephesians 1 and 2 also, and I looked at those words, and I tried to absorb them, and I struggled as well. But I prayed. I said, God, please help me believe this. Mm-hmm. And that was a key, because I just can't believe it without God's help.
Yeah. And some of that is here's the thing that struck me is like, I would have never, if somebody had called me on that and said, you need to go back and really examine why it is you do this, I would have never come up with that. Mm-hmm. And I really do believe that God brought it to mind, because it's been over 10 years ago, and I kept saying, no, that's not it. That's not it. And then when I landed on that, it was like this moment of somebody had me around the neck, and I knew that was it. But at the same time, I think going back and really figuring out where those, it's like the foundation of a house. You know, when a house starts falling in, you don't go fix the upstairs window.
Right.
You know, you got to
make an improvement on the closet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You don't patch it. You have to fix the foundation.
Yeah. Right. You don't paint the bedroom.
Right.
Which is what I think we do a lot in life, is that we try to paint the bedroom when the foundation's crumbling.
Yeah. We patch it up and make it look good. So when we're walking around and people say, how are you? You can say, I'm great.
Fine. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah. Look at my bedroom. It's newly painted.
Yeah.
Don't look at the crumble down there. Look at the bedroom.
Never mind that it's, off center and the floor's falling in. I mean, but it's newly painted, Yeah. And I think I won't say we, because I can't speak for you, but I think I do that quite a bit. I think we in Christian circles have done that. Women especially have done that a lot. We try to paint over a crack in the foundation, and it's still there, Go ahead. You got a thought, Tricia.
Well, I just remembered this moment that I had with my mom. So my mom is a strong believer, always has been. And it used to just drive me crazy about her that it seemed like her self-esteem was very low. And she was always saying things about herself, putting herself down in little ways, sometimes humor, sometimes just little comments and that kind of thing. And I asked her about that, and she said that she was trying to be humble. Because we're supposed to be humble. But that always confused me, because I'm like, I don't know that that's humble to be putting yourself down. I think it's devaluing yourself. So it's kind of like that. I think as believers, we don't want to be actually like we're in like overvaluing ourselves.
Like, everyone, look how great I am.
Right. That is certainly not what's going on. But I don't think we're supposed to put ourselves down either.
No, that's right. But it is a hard balance of, let's say you have something really great happen in your life. And I know sometimes we tend to be like, yeah, I had this really great thing, or I got a little promotion. Or
right.
We kind of downplay. I know I do that. I kind of downplay good things, because I know one day I'm going to have something bad and I'm not going to want to share it. And I don't want to look overzealous or anything about the good things. I don't want to be too prideful. But you also want to share stuff and be honest and real with people.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to figure out what is that balance of being humble, but being real and believing about yourself, and having self-confidence, but not being boastful.
Right.
And
that's it.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think self-confidence and self-esteem has gotten a bad rap, because everybody's like, oh, that's psychobabble, and that's not what God wants for us. But I think there is such a thing as God confidence. I mean, you can be confident in who you are in Him.
That's good.
God confidence. That's what I want.
Yeah, me too. And I just realized that because this sweet friend who didn't seem so sweet at the time, I love you, but don't call me on the carpet ever again. No, I think we need people like that in our lives who will say, well, what's the reason behind that? And if anything else, even if it hurts, if anything else, I hope that today's podcast has kind of helped you to think about if there are lies that you're believing day to day. And if there are, to do the hard work of asking God, hey, God, could you identify the place where this started? And maybe we go back and deal with that. We go back and get the roots of it so that I can, I believe that God could take this away from my memory and heal me? Yes, absolutely he could. But for me, that's usually not how it works. I have to do hard work on that, and he has to speak to me through that painful place.
Yeah.
And there's always a tinge there, but there's also a sense of victory because I know that he is able to bring me through something like that and to work me through it. And I hope today's podcast, if nothing else, will help you quit painting over the foundation problem. That's the whole reason I shared that with you, not so that you'll send me an email and tell me you're beautiful and we think it, just don't do that because that just makes it worse.
But you are.
Okay, thank you. But that's not the reason I shared that. I shared it because I truly do believe that a lot of us live our lives subject to some kind of lie that holds us back from being all that we could be if we allowed God to heal that place. So that's exactly why. Now, this is going to be the first ever Girl Talk homework.
Ooh, okay. Homework.
You have homework
I'm taking
today.
Notes.
And you already assigned it. Ephesians 1 and 2.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Go through Ephesians 1 and 2. We totally ripped that off from a movie that's coming later this summer. Are we allowed to say the name of it?
I think so. Overcomer.
Okay. It's called
great.
Overcomer. It's Kendrick Brothers movie. We got to see it a little bit early through some connections we have here at the radio ministry, but it'll be out in theaters in August. And go see it. And we totally ripped that idea off from Overcomer. So thank you, Kendrick Brothers. But read Ephesians 1 and 2 and talk about, write down everything that God says that you are and the benefits that it come from knowing Him. And Tricia.
And pray that God will help you absorb that.
Yeah. And it not just to be words on a page, because we can all do the assignment and it, is in our heads, but not in our hearts. And that's the hardest part for me, is to let that knowledge not just be knowledge, but to let it sink down into my heart and change who I am. Because we're all in the sanctification process. God is continually, if God's not continually working on you, then we need to look at why. Because He's changing us every day, and we're learning a little bit more every day. So we're glad that you are here. If you got questions or comments, you can always email us. We love getting your emails. Yeah. In fact, we forward them to each other, and we do a happy dance whenever we get an email. So Tricia just did it right there. We love getting your email. We love you being a part of the discussion on the Facebook page, and you can email us at girltalk@thelightfm.org. And we love you so much, and we want God to do a powerful work in your life. That's why we gather around these microphones. And we'll be excited to see you right back here. We'll save you a seat next time on the Girl Talk Podcast.